Question was posed, Coach, how do I get what I want? In this particular case, the individual wanted to have her and not, I would say, bother her and have an emotional conflict with her as a result of her hanging out with her friends without him. But ultimately, he also wanted her to be a part of his friend group. And that was challenging for her because his friend group is literally her authorities at work. So there was some challenges that she had. And so we talked about how to face these challenges through strategizing and understanding emotional intelligence, along with understanding what the degree of separation. The conclusion was that she learned that it was important to compromise in order to get what she wanted as well. So the moral of the story is when you want something from a relationship, it's important to go about it in a different manner other than just placing control or protesting towards what you want. It's really a balance of give and take so that you can introduce what you want in order to get what you want because you have given. Now, this is a very important phenomenon as it relates to a relationship, a marriage. So this is the context in which we were speaking from a marital perspective. So I hope you enjoyed the one-sided coaching episode. Coach, how do I? Stay tuned, more Coach, how do I episodes. What I'm going to talk to you about today is the degree of separation and using emotional intelligence in order to identify that degree of separation. If you and your husband have two separate friend groups and he wants to find a cohesive friend group that would allow you guys to hang out because it sounds like it may be relevant to quality time versus anything else. So if there's an opportunity for you to be invited with him and go to what you say is your boss's home because they are friends, then you can use deductive reasoning to identify what the degree of separation is. Degree of separation is simply the concept to where you can proactively separate the two components of him being a friend with your boss versus you not wanting to participate in some of the activities that they participate because he's your boss. With that being stated, I would encourage you to write a list, pros, cons in terms of hanging out. Now, the degree of separation says this: if I do hang out with my husband at my boss's home, in which I found that both of them are pleasant, but it's just a positioning that they hold that causes me to feel uncomfortable. So the degree of separation and the emotional intelligence come in because you are aware that there is a discord there. There's a level of discomfort, but you also are aware that both of the parties are pretty cool to hang out with. And while you would love to have a friend group that you and your husband can tie, which is mainly what his particular desire is, you just don't have that. So the degree of separation and the awareness and identifying what you can do determines your decision. The first thing you want to ask yourself is, do I want to hang out with my husband on a larger macro scale? So this is a general conversation without the specifics to it. In a perfect world, would I want to hang out with my husband and his friends? So you give yourself a yes or you give yourself a no. Okay? And it's kind of like a decision tree. So if whatever that decision is, you're going to begin to ask yourself a question. Now, there's an upcoming large event called the Super Bowl. My question is, in a perfect world, I would want to hang around my husband and his friend group because I'm comfortable, but it's imperfect right now. So that's the degree of separation. It's imperfect right now because that's my boss. So you have to ask yourself, using emotional intelligence, the awareness that this situation is occurring, but also the awareness of what your desire is to get better and closer with your relationship, and also to be able to have that line of separation from what your boss at work and your boss in your personal life. Now, it sounds like your boss is in your personal life because he's in your husband life. So the question is, can you think different? Can you reframe that to say, okay, the degree of separation could be the ability for me to decide what this looks like for me. Because right now, it's a cold shutdown for you because of the discomfort. But how do you use, I want to be close, I want a better relationship with my husband. I want to be in my husband's life in other aspects beyond the house. And I do like my boss. And I don't want my boss to know certain things about us. On the other hand, my boss knows everything about us. But does that mean that I have to discuss certain things? So your emotional intelligence says, I'm aware that I can categorize my conversations in the midst of my boss's presence and his wife. So then the question then becomes, it goes back to the general question. Do I want to have a relationship with my husband outside of the house in context to his friend? For an example, if I was to say yes, if I was to answer that, I would say yes. It doesn't mean that needs to be your answer. So if that's my answer and my husband invites me and I'm familiar with the people, then I can say, what's my strategy? So I'm aware that I'm uncomfortable, but I also acknowledge that these are cool people. And I acknowledge that I'm uncomfortable when they know information about me by which I don't even say it is my husband. So what can I strategize? How can I strategize? Well, maybe my strategy is learning to compromise for this one event. So that could look like I will have a conversation with my husband about the expectations that we have together in the presence of people outside of our marriage. In that conversation, I will share how he can support me in making me feel comfortable. And then I strategize from there. If he agrees, then my strategy is mindset shifting, telling myself that it will be okay if I ensure that I maintain what I'm requiring my husband to maintain, which is boundaries. So now, since I got that in place, okay, I got that locked. Talking to my husband is the first strategy. The second strategy is maintain my boundaries. Now I can let go. Now I kind of woosah from that because now I have a plan. And when it comes to a plan, that always has the power to reduce worry, concern, or anxiety, because worry can't live with structure. Worry can't live with solutions and conclusions. So with that being stated, what you'll do is you'll take that and you'll remind yourself in those peak moments of concern as you participate in the event so that you can have fun. You can meet your husband's need of being active with him, his social life. And then therefore you can learn and grow from that understanding. If you want a better relationship with your husband, starting off with being a part of his social life, then it takes compromise. And the compromise looks like I will understand when to apply the degree of separation, and I'll understand when not to apply it. So the degree of separation is a two-sided component that says I will versus I want, and you use emotional intelligence in order to enhance the emotional control to make a better decision as to when I will and when I won't. So with that being stated, if this is a one-time scenario, one-time event, the Super Bowl, your husband has invited you to go, the question is, does the overall general question in which you contested, yes, I want a better relationship with my husband, yes, I want to hang out with his friends. So then you have to ask yourself, what is my strategy? Because now you're starting to implement compromise. So now what is the strategy? The strategy is to have a conversation with my husband, for him to know how I want to be supported. And then I take that and I blindly trust it. The reason why I say blindly is because we can only trust what we have seen or what we are seeing. So with that being stated, you're going in with the expectation that you can trust until something defers that. And then you come back to your emotional intelligence and you begin to work that out. So emotional intelligence, again, is the ability to be aware of how you feel, to acknowledge how you feel, and to strategize against that feeling if it opposes the feeling that you really desire, which is happiness. So with that being stated, this allows you to have informed decision making. So here's what I would encourage you to do. If you want your husband also to understand the degree of separation, start applying it, have a conversation with him, and use the I statement formula, and you expressing how you also want to have time to be amongst your friends without him. So it could be, I am doing this for you, for your heart, because I want you to know that I care about what you care about. I also want you to know there's something that I care about too that I would like for you to also support me in. That could be the segue into that conversation. And so that includes that I would like to have a friend life outside of the home that is totally platonic, respectful, and honorable of our marriage. Just to have girl time, laughter time, without any complexities. This looks like maybe once a month hanging out with my friend girls. Is that something that you can support me in? And then you just have a conversation in regards to what that looks like. That looks like. So, he may say, well, what that look like? How can I support you? Whatever words he may use, you may say, well, you can support me by being open to hearing me when I would like to plan something. So our next time that we're going to go out is March the 3rd. And I'm sharing that with you now so that you can support me within your emotions to not be overly emotional when I say it's time for me to leave and enjoy myself. So not only are you supporting him, but now through your support of him, you have shown him how to support, and then you're bringing up the conversation not out of that prideful stance of me, but you are collaborating at this point. That's collaboration now, working together. You compromised to share some time with him and his friends, and now you are saying that you want him to now learn to compromise to allow you to have time to share with your friends. Now,